I've been informed by some boys around the house that maybe I'm not sporting as good a humor as I usually am. So that's, let you know that too, just in case. Trying to maintain my southern disposition. Shouldn't be a problem as long as Steve shows up on time. And baked goods on Lisa Wilson's desk. There's some kind of loaf of bread, poppy seed or something. The new city clerk service. Her writer is Jeannie Coombs, joining us from Prairie Village. Just observing.
No, I haven't been to the classes. My friend was black. I know. There's sometimes I don't even write it like every week or every other week. No, but I will. Do they sell free? Free stores. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have any. So one there,
Uncle Lincoln? Yeah.
You can't change much too because it's on the historic. And it's on the historic registry. That'd be cool.
Make that a tornado shelter. I was, that when we went to the partner day. So it's kind of cool.
The beach was there.
That's literally what they did.
All right, so a minute ago, Steve says he's going to be here in 3.
I know.
Sure.
So the start fishing out there.
Oh, yeah.
Natural gas line that feeds the turbines at Gardner Center. Well, he said 3 minutes. Well, everybody, we'll get started here in a moment. We would have got started on time. Yes, you did. But with all the members of the council here, and we were all expecting them shortly anyway, we're gonna go ahead and begin our work session. And we've got one item, discussion item, regarding funding capacity of future CIP projects. And, Laura, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, in conjunction with priority-based budgeting and everything else we've been doing, as the city moves forward with visioning and assessing and planning to identify infrastructure needs to both maintain our citizens' quality of life and encourage tax-based diversity and economic development, our city's financial advisor, Bruce Kimmel of Ellers, has reviewed the city's funding capacity, and he's here to present his findings.
Okay. Do we have any easy access to the microphone at the podium, for the volume? Because I think you were a little hard to hear, Laura. Katie, you know?
I'll speak up.
It didn't.
I don't know.
It was just on a little weak.
Oh.
There we go.
Right?
She's a little bit.
Well, we'll see.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, and a little back.
Yeah.
Now, if you could step back, just.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
How's that?
Much
Better? All
Better.
right.
Very good, thanks.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Bruce Kimmel with Ellers. It's nice to be back with you. And as Laura mentioned, I was engaged, and my firm was engaged, to do a review of your financial capacity going forward to take on new capital projects. And I think this is a really timely exercise, not only because you're in the middle of budget season for 2015, but also I know you have 4 really key objectives for all of your work as a city council. Laura mentioned a couple, but of course there is economic development and revenue diversification, improving quality of life, fiscal stewardship, and then also being good stewards of your infrastructure and assets. And really capital planning and using the resources available to you to make investments in the community touch on all 4 of those goals. So I hope that this will be helpful in illustrating how you can align the resources that you have with investments that you want to make. And please stop me along the way if you have questions. I want this to be conversational, but also hopefully you'll leave with a sense that you can make investments to keep the city moving forward on all these fronts and replace aging infrastructure as well as develop new infrastructure as appropriate and as you see fit. Great, so moving forward then, what we did in this review was really look at the city's future financial capacity as it related to 4 funds that the city has currently. And really these are the city's main tax-supported and special revenue funds. So these would be your general fund and bond and interest fund. You're obviously very aware of your general fund. It supports almost all of your general governmental operations. Bond and interest is where your existing debt service is paid from. You have a portion of your tax levy that goes specifically to pay a portion of your debt service, and a good chunk of your non-utility related debt service. And then you have 2 smaller but no less important special revenue funds. That's street improvement and special highway. Those are where you deposit excise taxes and state motor fuels revenues, as well as other grant funding, perhaps other funds that you have for one-time street repairs and so on. But they're all very interrelated, as I'm sure Laura Gurley has mentioned to you, so we felt we really needed to take a look at all of these non-utility funds to get a handle on how they interrelate and how they are looking going forward and as it relates to financial capacity. And then just jumping ahead to the punchline, if you will, we really do feel you have significant capacity to do new projects as you see fit. And this is really due to the city's ongoing fiscal management in that you have had balanced budgets and actually increased fund balance in recent years, and also due to the fact that you're retiring significant amounts of your debt every year as well. Are you still getting any feedback, or is this?
Great.
Okay.
Very good.
Great. So this is the good news, is with your existing property tax mill rate, you actually have substantial capacity, both in the near term and going forward, to take on new capital investments. So we started with the general fund, and we focused on the forecast that staff has put together for the years 2015 through 2020, and I know you all have that in your budget books as well. I would point out that we really hit on the fact that you do have conservative assumptions for tax-based growth. That's not always the case. Sometimes we have to encourage our clients to sort of roll back some other assumptions, or at least do more conservative scenarios. And we really think that you're appropriately conservative here. You do have some inflationary growth, you do have a certain number of building permits, but really nothing significant, more continuation of current trends. And this is showing that you're not relying on a home run with major future redevelopment in the community. Also, you're well aware of the fact that you are trying to reduce your fund balance somewhat. You were at, I would say, very high levels last year with fund balances in excess of 55, almost 60% of expenditures. Your staff is projecting that you'll be at 42% at the end of this year, and you're on path to reach 29%, with the idea that you'll be trending toward and holding at about a 25% target. And that's certainly even higher than a lot of Kansas communities, given the fact that you do receive revenues pretty regularly over the course of the year. Also, your general fund forecast doesn't really have any significant capital projects other than the Aquatic Center rehab project that I know you're already well aware of, and then some basically smaller equipment and vehicle purchases in the range of $150,000 to $220,000 per year. So in other words, your forecast doesn't assume any big capital projects, either debt funded or cash funded, other than some fairly small replacements. What we noticed is that also, besides these initial observations, is that when you do recapture the full amount of Walmart-related property and sales taxes starting in 2016, because of paying off and finishing the pay-as-you-go obligation there, that really does allow you to maintain that 25% target while still moving the city forward with investments in the general fund. So basically, we talk about structural balance in our line of work, and we're looking at a structurally balanced general fund forecast. So you're starting from a good position as it relates to your core governmental fund. Looking at debt service, I think some of this might be a bit more surprise to you, just to see how quickly your debt service does roll off. We looked at all of your existing debt, not only your bonds, your general obligation bonds, and the lease revenue bonds that you still have outstanding for this building, but then also your KDOT and KDHE loans relating to street projects, water projects, wastewater projects. And you can see how in the next fiscal year, 2015, you'll have about $9.3 million of total debt service. So that's spanning all of your utilities and all of your general related debt service. That drops within 5 years by 44%, down to $5.3 million.